Ultra, a term according to Webster's dictionary that means going beyond others or beyond due limit. Extreme. This word is used to prefix many words to increase the intensity of what root word may follow. Ultra motivated, ultra competitive, ultra fanatical. This is soccer's loudest majority. These are ultras. Ultras are a supporter group for a particular soccer club. I have three main soccer fan groups: the hooligans, the casuals, and the ultras. This supporter group in soccer emboldens their team with their chants, choreographed displays in the stands, and the tifos they erect to immortalize their team's heroes. You don't really have to look that far here in the South to find ultras. In many places across the world, your local hometown team would be represented by these fans, these ultra fanatical people that would put on these smoke shows with flares and paint and smoke, marching through the streets as they enter into the stadium for their local derby or rival game or final, or even just a plain simple match, because soccer and football mean so much to the people in those places. Here in the South, in Georgia, we've actually received our own football team. We have our own soccer team to claim as our own. As far back as 2014, when Atlanta announced that we would be receiving a soccer team, and we would be having and we would have a soccer team within the Major League Soccer realm of the sport here in America and the North American continent. It was essentially it essentially created these fan groups that, even without having a team name at the time, people were still throwing supporter parties and were celebrating nonetheless, because Atlanta finally had this opportunity, this chance to enter into the major leagues of soccer. When reviewing supporter culture within soccer, it's pretty easy to get swept up in the hype, in the idea that these supporter groups are just crazy fans that are way too into the sport, or this is just something that they do to put on a show for other people to pay attention to the team as a whole. While these may be unintended consequences of their actions, most of the supporter groups actually garner a lot of attention for their work, what they do on and off the pitch, in the stands and out of the stands. One of the things that Atlanta United has is Atlanta United actually has four supporter groups that they claim as true supporter groups within the city. They are the Footy Mob, Resurgence, Terminus Legion, and Faction. Now, all four of these groups have essentially applied to be a supporter group. They have applied to be an ultra. There's a hierarchy within the system where the club approves of these. They actually are broadcasted and shown on Atlanta United's designated official websites, where they each have their own paragraph of description to explain who they are, what they represent. Each specific section, each supporter group has their own specific focus. Footy Mob tries to create a unique fan experience by blending soccer supporter group traditions with Southern sports culture. So they tailgate, they have match watching parties, and in the stands, they try and emulate the same kind of soccer and Southern sports culture hybrid that they've created. Resurgence focused primarily on creating a rowdy and passionate in match supporter section experience, according to the Atlanta United fan supporter group section on their website. These folks actually earn their scarves, and if you haven't been in soccer for a very long time, scarves are a huge deal. Scarves show your loyalty to a specific team. It shows your pride in your team as a whole, what they represent. Scarves are everything. It's not just something to keep your neck warm. These are normally held above the head, both arms, proudly displaying whatever message is written across. At my school, at Dalton Middle School, we started selling scarves for our soccer team this year, which blew up. We had Dalton written across the front of it. It was a huge success because scarves are just integral parts of soccer culture as a whole. Where Resurgence, they actually earn their scarves by standing and chanting for the full 90 minutes of the soccer game by not sitting down at all. That's sort of their do it yourself approach that they sort of work with. The Terminus Legion is sort of exists to support Atlanta soccer throughout the communities. It's essentially trying to be something bigger than yourself. They want to be something positive on and off the field, according to their section in the Atlanta supporter groups. And the faction are parents, coaches, players, supporters of Atlanta United that try and put more fun, food, friendship, essentially to develop youth culture and the language of soccer promotes inclusivity, collaboration, and achieving success across the city. That's sort of what they are striving to do. Now, what really makes this more of an affinity space top is now when you think about affinity spaces, one of the things that you really want to focus on is evoking passion from the people within that community. Now, with the soccer community, one of the things that is sort of done through the ultra supporters is they focus more on the passionate portion of supporting a specific team. That we all have a team that we're wanting to get behind in every single facet of the organization. Now, when it comes to a classroom, you don't always have kids that are always invested in the things that you're trying to teach. I, as an English teacher in a middle school classroom, don't have a lot of students that tell me, yeah, Miss Smith, you know what? Let's get on that grammar thing today. I've got a yearning for some gerunds, man. It is going to be killer. You don't always get that. What you get are students that have varying levels of interest in your specific subject. So to transfer most of the passion that these ultra groups have within the soccer affinity space into your own classroom, you can't really bring in pyrotechnics and smoke bombs and things like that to put on these amazing displays to interest your students in participial phrases and how to write conclusions and argumentation. It's not really feasible unless you have a really cool school superintendent, which I don't think there's many out there that will allow you to bring in pyrotechnics to your school just willy nilly. Um, but instead, what we want to focus on is we want to focus on the what we really want to focus on is using the hierarchical system that is employed in creating a supporter group within a soccer club and within a soccer fan base. One of the main things that you want to analyze and to think about is how are you going to use groups within your classroom? Are you going to set up leaders that can become this particular section of your class? This is what they own. They have ownership over this particular thing. Do you have a paper handing out group, a paper picker up group that will collect assignments for you? Do you have a pencil sharpener group that people can get behind, that the students can have ownership over those particular things? What is it that you are allowing your students to do that is going to create some kind of investment within your classroom? That's the same as the ultras have investment in their club. What are you doing within your classroom to bring in that same kind of investment? That's one of the things that you're wanting to think about as you try and copy some of these ideas from the affinity space into your own classroom instruction. It's more of the practice of setting up your classroom as opposed to bringing in the same level of passion. Not every student is going to care about creating argumentative scenarios and to crafting characters and stories based on specific prompts. They're not going to always get super behind that, but you can create an invigorating classroom environment that engages them through the groups that they are allowed to create, through the ways that they can move up in the classroom. Is there a system of them being rewarded for the things that they do in their class? Those are the things that you want to be thinking about as you think of how can I take this affinity space idea into my own classroom to garner a new level of instruction and engagement from my students. That's all that I have for you today. I'm extremely glad that I got a chance to talk about this ultra culture that I've been really enveloped in the past couple of days, watching some Copa 90 and some other YouTube series that sort of brings out this soccer culture within me. Teaching and coaching soccer, it's been really interesting to see those crossroads, especially within this assignment that I've been given to do. And I'm really excited for this, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you.